Hello everybody. On this video I'm going to talk about pivot tables, how do we create them and what are they. First of all, I will start the description of the pivot tables. Pivot tables allows you to quickly summarize and analyze large amounts of data in lists and tables, independent of the original data layout in your spreadsheet, by dragging and dropping columns to different rows, columns, or summary positions. That means you have a bunch of data, you want to summarize them into a small table, understandable and easy to read. Now on this example, let's say you have a small fruits grocery and you're selling many groceries to different kinds of states, let's say California, Nevada, Portland, and you want to know to which state you sold the most apples, or to which state you sold the most bananas, or let's say you want to know to which state you are selling the most. Maybe you want to open a branch there. So what we are going to do is create a pivot table that will help us with this. First of all, you'll scroll to data, click on data, pivot table and pivot chart report. Now Excel will ask you, where's the data that you want to analyze? We have written our data in Microsoft Excel, so it's on Microsoft Excel list or database. Excel will ask you to what kind of report do you want to create. We want to create a pivot table. So this comes marked up, but we have to read that one, so we make sure that we are not doing anything wrong. Now next step is to choose the data you want. Now my marker was in the middle of my data. Because my marker was in the middle, Excel chose everything by itself. But if my marker was outside, Excel won't choose. We had to go there and choose our data with our headers completely and click on here and go to the next final step of creating the pivot table. Now Excel will ask you, where do you want to put the pivot table report? We actually want it in a new worksheet, because if we just put it on that worksheet, it will interfere with this thing and it will be a mess. So we'll do it in a new worksheet and click on finish. Now we have those three things. That one, I'll explain a little bit about them. This is your table. This is where you will drop your headers. This is where we will know the amounts of apples you sold in which states. This is everything. This is the pivot table field list. These are your headers. This is where you drag your headers and drop it in here. This one helps you, it shows you states, your invoice, your total, and you choose whatever you want to know and just drop it here. This little thing actually is a tools bar. It's called a pivot table, but it's a tools bar. You can manipulate with that table with anything you want by that one. You can change it into a chart, you can play with the rows and columns and everything. But we are doing a beginner's guide, so it won't be okay for us. Now, what do you want to know here is we want to know to which state we are selling the most, which state are buying the most from us, and we just want to know like where we're selling the most. So what do we do is click on state, drag it and drop it on that row. Now as you see, our states are completely written and chosen over here with the grand total. Now what do we have here? Here we want to put our description, like we want to put what we have. We want to put our bananas, our pears, our apples. We want to show them here. So it's called our description. This is the header that we wrote in the beginning. We just drag it and drop it in here. Now as you see, your all fruits are written and summarized here with the grand total. Now what do we have here is drop data items. What we want here is numbers, quantity, how many of these we sold in California, how many of these we sold in Miami, how many of these we sold in Nevada, let's say. So what we want here is the quantity, is the numbers, totals. So we have our quantity here. We drag quantity and drop it over here. As you see, pivot table is a very simple, smart method. Our table is done now and it's fully completed. We have here our grand totals. We have here apples. We sold 21 apples in California. We sell apples only to California. We have bananas. We sold, let's say, 12 bananas in the all states. Now let's make it a little bit easier. Let's say we want to know how many of all of these we sold to California. We sold only apples to California and the total is 21 apples. Okay, let's say how many we sold to Miami. We sold only pears to Miami, 3 pears, grand total. Okay, now let's change this. Let's make another way. Let's say we want to know how many apples we sold to all these states. We sold 34 apples to the all states with the total 34. Now let's say how many bananas we sold to all states. We sold 12 bananas. We sold 6 to Nevada and 6 to Portland. So pivot table is a very smart method and it's a very easy method to summarize and analyze your data to help you see your full amount, to help you see your grand totals and help you with your work if you have a small company or a small shop or a big company or whatever. This was my explanation about pivot table. Thanks a lot.